started falling apart. He started disintegrating mentally in the fight. He got frustrated. He couldn't make it his fight. He couldn't do what he wanted to do. He couldn't make it a physical fight. He couldn't hit Mayweather with the punches that he wanted to hit and affect him with. And he started to unravel. I think that he headbutted to get out of the fight. I think it was another way of quitting. I think it was his way of getting out of it. If it caused the cut, the fight would have been over. He would have been disqualified. It was a way of not dealing with what was very difficult to deal with. And then it went further. Once he was not disqualified, once there was not a bad cut, then it went to the next point. Now they were forced to touch gloves. They touched gloves. He took it a little further. He looked to embrace. He looked to make friends. He kissed him on the head. And then between all of that, as you just said a moment ago, there was a little delay. There was time. And now, as they say in boxing, you have to defend yourself. The old adage, you have to defend yourself at all times. The referee was not in there. Now, I give a little blame to the referee. He didn't do a great job. His eyes weren't where they were supposed to be. But he allowed the fighters to engage again. He allowed the fight to go on again. As I said, he went to touch gloves. He went to embrace. He went to embrace Mayweather. And then Mayweather hit him. It was time to fight. Mayweather hit him with a left hook. The first left hand that he hit him with, it wasn't a devastating punch. You could see Ortiz still had his faculties about him. You know, he looked over at the referee.
And he kept his hands at his sides.
But he wasn't hurt. He still had his faculties about him. You know, it was physically okay. He looked over at the referee for the referee to do something. He didn't behave the way you're supposed to behave. At that moment, actually before that moment, but at least by that moment, you're supposed to defend yourself. You're supposed to engage. You're supposed to act like a fighter. He was looking at the referee for one reason. He was looking for the referee to disqualify Mayweather. He was, again, the same reason he started with the headbutt. He was looking to get out of the fight. He was falling apart, and he was looking to do anything but deal with Mayweather. So that this was just a byproduct of what Ortiz was looking to create, a way to get out of the fight. And to be honest with you, I think in his mind, in his emotional state, he got the best scenario he could have gotten. Because if the fight continued, he was getting taken apart. He was going to be undressed by Mayweather. And instead of that, now there's a little controversy hanging over it. He gets paid, and he can always say, hey, look, if I didn't get hit with that punch, I would have won the fight.
And I think what happened at the end of the fight, Teddy, backs up your claim, because if I feel like I was wronged or I feel like I got cheap-shotted and a guy knocked me out when I wasn't ready, I'm going to be hot. I'm going to be hot after that fight, and I'm going to be out of my head hot. This guy was cool, calm, collected, smiling. Things happen. It is what it is. That's not the demeanor of somebody that's got jobbed out of a championship fight.
I agree with you 1,000%. As a matter of fact, it's the demeanor of the guy that we just described, and of the scenario I just described. If you're in the courtroom, there'd be an attorney saying that's Exhibit D to prove our point, is that he was happy, and he was relieved, and he was happy. He was relieved because he got the results he wanted. He got out of that fight in the best way that he could. In some ways, not nearly, as nasty, not nearly as dark, as vicious, but in some ways a little bit like Tyson when he got out of the holster. A lot of people, they don't understand it. He was resorting to the streets. It had nothing to do with it. Tyson could not deal with that fighter in front of him, and he wasn't tough enough, strong enough mentally to do it. So he found a way out of here to get out of the fight, and the same thing. When the fight was over, he wasn't upset. He got what he wanted. He got out of that fight. Matter of fact, you could take it even further. The first time he bit him, he thought that was the end of it. But he didn't realize to what extent Holyfield was truly a man and truly a warrior. He didn't realize that Holyfield, after getting a piece of his ear bit off, was going to turn around to his corner and to the ref and say, put my mouthpiece in. I'm going to go knock this guy out. I'm still going to fight. And at that point, he had to go and do it again because he still didn't get the result that he needed to get.
Teddy Adams here. I think you're exactly spot on with everything you just said. And it's just ironic that Teddy is such an astute observer of what's going on, if he would come up with this scenario. But I bet, Tom, that we could talk to a dozen other fight analysts and they would not have anything close to what Teddy said. And that's what I said about a half an hour, just teasing the audience a little bit, Teddy, where I said this is the equivalent of suicide by cop. Always where a guy goes and he's barricaded and he wants the cops to kill him, and he sets up that kind of scenario. And this is what I think that Ortiz is doing. He wanted to get out of that fight because his Petty thought he knew he was losing, and he wanted to try to do it and still maintain some sense of controversy or grace or something. I mean, otherwise, it was a leaping headbutt. I mean, he probably felt he could have been disqualified for that. And then, enough with the kissing, and yes, he kissed him, then he hugged him, and he went back and hugged him again, and he's smiling, and he's keeping his arms down. It made no sense on any level, except that he wanted to get knocked out, and then he got it with great controversy, so there could be some people that were sympathetic to him. And then, as Tom was saying, that he was smiling and happy after the fight. I mean, that was just, he took his money and got out of there.
I agree with both of you completely. Couldn't agree with you more. And from the headbutt to the other side of the spectrum, to the kissing and the hugging, he was kind of showing you behavior that was completely alternate to fighting. Anything other than throwing punches, other than engaging the other guy in a contest that he was there to engage the guy. He first tried to get out of it with the headbutt, and then of course after that, and they were forced to still fight, he wanted to do anything but fight at that point.
What do you think would have happened if that was 2:59 was the time that was given at the end of the fight? What do you think would have happened if he was compelled to go to the next round?
I think it let him quit in the corner, to be honest with you. I think he's done it before. And I'm not here to knock Ortiz. I'm not here to take Ortiz apart. I mean, that's not what I came here to do. But we're talking about it, and you got to talk about it candidly and with the judgment that you have in such things. And my judgment and experience in such things in those areas, in those dimensions, knowing what fighters do under pressure and sometimes don't do under pressure, it's a possibility. This is a guy who did quit in the Madonna fight. It's a possibility that he doesn't come out. But even if he does come out, I think that you're going to see a complete domination, which you started to see, but you're going to continue to see a complete domination by Mayweather, and the end result was going to be Mayweather winning by knockout.
How would you characterize what Mayweather did? And most people say, like Pacquiao said, very poor sportsmanship, but it was not illegal. How would you characterize him just clapping and guy with his arms to the side?
But he's a fighter. He's a guy that is highly strong, like any athlete that's in a dangerous domain, whether it's football, whether it's car racing, whether it's boxing. You're going to take advantage of an opportunity. If your opponent gives you an advantage, and it's within the realm that you're allowed to take advantage of that opportunity, you're going to take advantage of it. He understands it's a dangerous sport. That's one of the reasons why he won't fight Pacquiao. He thinks Pacquiao's on steroids. I don't know if Pacquiao's on steroids, but in his mind, he thinks that he is. He doesn't want him to have an advantage. He knows how dangerous that man can be. He knows how fine the margin of error and difference between you and the other guy can be, and what that difference can mean. He understands that. Now you have to live with that. He got an opportunity in a very difficult situation in a fight, in that square circle, that chamber of truth, where you sometimes don't get a second chance. He got an opportunity because that fighter gave him an opportunity. It's the old adage, defend yourself at all times. The referee did not get in there. He did not say stop fighting. He allowed them to engage. He knew he had an opportunity to take advantage. Could he have been like some fighters in the past? There's a few fighters in the past that might have stopped and they might have said, okay, get yourself together, and then I'm going to go and punch the lights out, so to speak. Yeah, he could have done that, but was he outside the realm of fairness, but within the rules of doing what he did? No, he wasn't. He didn't do anything illegal. He took advantage in a very difficult sport, a very dangerous sport, a very unforgiving sport. He took advantage of an opportunity he was given. Now again, like Pacquiao said, could he have been a little bit more of a gentleman and just waited a second? Yeah, he could have. But was he wrong with what he did within the rules? No, he wasn't wrong.
Hey, Teddy, before I let you run, just your thoughts on the upcoming Pacquiao-Marquez fight. I don't know what Marquez has left as far as his reflexes, and I don't know how much age has caught up to him, but I remember the last two fights and how close they were, and I think if he does have his reflexes, I think what makes it interesting is Pacquiao, a very aggressive fighter. We all know how good he is. And Marquez may be one of the best, if not the best, counterpunchers as far as accuracy that I've ever seen.
Look, Marquez, first of all, mentally he's a real fighter. He's a warrior. He really encompasses what a fighter temperament is supposed to be. He behaves like a fighter and like a champion fighter at all times. He overcomes things. He doesn't give in to things. Now, touching on what you just said, I agree with you 100%. If there's a guy, first of all, he's got scar tissue around his eyes. He can get busted up. I mean, he's at that point. He's taken a lot of punches. He's been in a lot of tough fights. He's a real warrior. We don't judge fighters chronologically for their age. We judge them by the amount of fights they've been in and the amount of punches they've taken. And that way, Marquez could get old at any moment. He really could. He's taken a lot of punches. He's been in a lot of rough fights. On the other side of it, you have Pacquiao. He's fresher, he's younger, and he's bigger now. So you would have to, from those parts that we just talked about it, you would have to look, obviously, at Pacquiao. But I look at it another way also. I look at it that Pacquiao has other things, other interests in his life. He has politics. He's an icon in his country. He's a multi-millionaire. He's a star. He's got a lot of other things. Marquez doesn't. Marquez is a fighter. That's it. There's more urgency to Marquez for this moment. And the final thing, as far as me handicapping this fight and looking forward to this fight, is that there's styles make fights. And Marquez happens to have the temperament and the style and the confidence that he's